Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me for a brand new save on our channel playing TEW 2020. And on this save, some interesting things happen. Because we see in a shocking breaking news article here, we find out that Tony Khan has given the booking reins for Ring of Honor to William Regal, at least partially. Why? Well, because we're playing as William Regal, of course, and that means we are playing as the booker of Ring of Honor. We see here that Tony Khan owns it. We are playing as a child company of AEW in this really fascinating story that inspired me to start this save. So, we've been talking about a lot of different saves on the channel, and there's definitely at least one more in the works right now that'll be very interesting and different than what we're currently doing with the NWA save and before our AEW save. But I just been having like a hankering to just simple storytelling, just simple booking. And Ring of Honor always epitomized to me sort of a classic, respectful wrestling storytelling. It had a very unique approach to the way it told stories through its pure championships, through its code of honor rule. And it inspired me, and especially inspired me having watched it, I don't want to say fall apart, but it kind of did, right? It kind of unraveled after the Bullet Club left and after the pandemic, and they tried to do right by their workers, and they kind of killed themselves in the process. And it looked very much like the wrestling world was going to lose Ring of Honor. And suddenly, that wasn't happening, right? Tony Khan bought it. It's sort of the sister company to AEW. It's kind of a child company. It's a very weird situation right now. The situation's still developing. And they had a beautiful pay-per-view with the Super Card of Honor. And it kind of, it affected me. I'm not going to lie. It affected me. Not in an emotional way, but it inspired me watching that show and watching it being the end of an era and also sort of this resurrection, this new beginning. And it reminded me a lot of what got me back into wrestling. It got me with NXT in its heyday, in its peak days, where it just felt like it had this deep respect for its audience, had a deep respect for the art form of wrestling. It wasn't trying to do anything crazy. It wasn't trying to necessarily, it's hard to explain, but it felt pure. It felt simple. And a lot of that show felt very similar to how I felt about that. It's how I felt about the few times I watched Ring of Honor. I never started its inception because I was kind of out of wrestling at that point during the early aughts. But I watched a lot of Ring of Honor when Cody had showed up there. So the sort of the Ring of Honor era, if you will, the Bullet Club era of Ring of Honor. And I really enjoyed the way the matches were laid out. I enjoyed the rules. And I just enjoyed that classic, simple storytelling. That fight between sort of talented people and the fight internally between the honor and the unhonorable. And that really resonates still. And so I'm so excited in the real world to see what happens from Ring of Honor. And it really made me want to take my hands and kind of get into it. So that's what we're doing. We're booking Ring of Honor. We are resurrecting it. We are playing as William Regal, so it gives us some owner goals. And let's do a tour real quick. Let's talk about the save and what we have set up. So first of all, we are part of the Forbidden Door Alliance. So that gives us access to All Elite Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, New Japan, and Wrestling New Japan of America, right? So those are all four of the people that are part involved with it. In order to try to simulate what's going on right now, I have 3 alliance titles. Obviously, we have the IWGP US Heavyweight, which was Sonata, but I think he's injured, so it's vacant now. We have the Pure Championship. Because it's been appearing so much on AEW, and because Wheeler is on a cross brand, it made sense to put it on here. I'm going to mostly use the Pure Championship because we don't really have ownership of it, right? It's one of those things that at any time this could be taken away from him because we don't have booking control. It probably will, to be quite honest. It gives us an opportunity to bring a variety of people we wouldn't necessarily send down to Ring of Honor to work here. Now, in the real world, Tony Khan has said that Ring of Honor is more of a lateral move. It's not necessarily a developmental, but for the sake of the game, we're certainly going to use it as a developmental territory because that's probably realistically how it's going to shake out. You're going to get younger wrestlers who have a specific skill set, but maybe aren't necessarily ready for TV, and they're going to have an opportunity to really show what their technical aptitude is, right? And that's how probably our Ring of Honor is going to work too. We also have the World 6-Man Tag Team title, one that was previously, I believe, retired. We've brought back out again as a way to bring in an interesting group of people, right? From New Japan, from Impact, from Ring of Honor. We'll have to see who comes in here and you know, where that shakes out. But I thought all 3 of these are going to be interesting ways to bring a variety of workers into Ring of Honor. Our actual titles are set up to be mostly congruent with the real world. There was a major title change like a week ago, but I did not reflect that here because I preferred to have Suzuki still be the television championship for our story. We have other things to do for Samoa Joe, that's how we have it set up. So we have Suzuki for television, FTR for tag team, Gresham for our world champion, and Deonna Purrazzo, who I don't know is actually still our women's champion or will be for long. We don't know what her contract status really is because she is an Impact and things are a little weird with that contract right now. But in Starter to Save, we have her there. Now, the problem with setting up a child company in this game, and this is why we had to kind of set this up beforehand, is for some reason, when it made the game, they decided that child companies can't also hire people that work at their parent company, which makes no sense at all. If they're all available and they're not exclusive, there's no reason why they couldn't work both, right? But unfortunately, the game has this limitation. So we're going to have to use a lot of different tricks to bring people down. One of the things we'll do is we'll occasionally, maybe once a month, or just really whenever it feels like we need to, we're going to jump into AEW off screen. I'm going to send some people that I think would be a good fit down to develop them. In addition, Ring of Honor, or actually, sorry, AEW can send us talent themselves, either from their roster or hire people for us to develop. Because we do have a developmental contract. We have agreed to accept workers on both excursions and developmental. They won't come for excursions because we're not a Japanese company, but that is how it's set up. We also have a talent trade agreement, but I don't think that works with a child company because it doesn't. Not permitted. Another weirdness with TEW 2020 that hopefully is fixed in 2024. But we don't need that. We have workarounds. And again, it's about playing with what we have and really working with it for the best of our ability. So let's tour our roster, because this is the weirdest thing with where we're starting the show. Ring of Honor has no, in the real world right now, has no television contract. It doesn't really have any signed workers officially. And we don't really know who's even going to be a part of it. So what I did is I went through as a baseline, and anybody, for the most part, with a few exceptions, anybody that was on the Super Card of Honor show, which was Tony Khan's first booked pay-per-view, right? It was sort of that send-off and sort of the new beginning. Anybody on that pay-per-view, we've put in with a contract. So we're going to say that they're basically probably Ring of Honor talent, right? They chose to put them on the show for that reason. Other people were let off and not put on that show. So we have to assume that that's probably why. There's a couple exceptions that I added in here, but they're just people that I think we should have. The notable ones are the Briscoe brothers, who, by all accounts, that was their final match in Ring of Honor. There's a lot of drama between a person in Warner Media doesn't dig them. There's some, objectionable and controversial elements to their past and statements in their past that make them maybe not palatable to a major brand. But they've spent 20 years in Ring of Honor, pretty much their entire career. They are a pillar of Ring of Honor, so we're going to keep them around instead of letting them go, at least at first. It just makes sense, to have them. In a similar vein, Kenny King, who's been there for like 6 years, 7 years, is going to be a part of here for at least the beginning. Some other people, Silas Young, who did not show up, but feels like the type of person that's been there for like a decade. I'm trying to think of others, but there's a few in there, like Todd Sinclair, the ref, who didn't show up as a ref, but, kind of makes sense. I don't know what his real situation is in terms of where he works or what, but Kerry Silken, former owner, might end up being sort of an authority figure for us. We don't really know what his role is backstage anymore, if any. He's kind of been promoted as a liaison on Twitter, so we'll see. But we're going to keep him around. But otherwise, the roster is pretty much people that we saw on that pay-per-view. Alex Zane, AQA, Bandito, Brian Cage, our announcers, Caprice Coleman and Riccaboni, Cash and Dax Wheeler, Chavo, Dalton Castle, who didn't show up on the show, but was on AEW. So it's pretty clear that he's probably got a role there. Deanna Prusa, Eli Isom, Briscoes, Jay Lethal, Joe Hendry, Jonathan Gresham. We did add Jordan Grace just as one extra female wrestler to start, just because of her relationship with Gresham. Kind of made sense to maybe bring her in. Josh Woods, Khan, Kenny King, Lee Moriarty, and his manager, technically, Matt Seidel, Nick Jackson, Mercedes Martinez, Minoru Suzuki, Paul Turner, Rhett Titus, Samoa Joe, Swerve, Sanjay Dutt, Toa Leone, Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, Tully Blanchard, Wheeler Yuta, and Willow Nightingale. So that is our group, our core group so far. We need to add a couple other people into hires, probably the Tate brothers. Do that real quick. Because the Tate brothers are the boys, and we want the boys back. We're doing 1-year contracts right now, and that should be fine. Now, once we start really simming, we're also going to get owner goals that are going to make things a little difficult. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. What I'm also going to do is probably in between the cuts here on the flip, I'm going to go into AEW and I'm going to add just a few people. We have 33 people right now, but what I would like is a few more teams. We have currently FTR, Castle, and Hendry, which are probably going to break up soon. I don't really have a lot of plans for them as a tag team. Gates of Agony, Lethal and Dutt, technically, because they're here. The Briscoes, the Foundation, and the Young Bucks. So not a lot of tag teams. I mean, there's a decent amount, but really it's like, Lethal and Gresham are basically singles competitors now. So it's like Bucks, Briscoes, Gates of Agony, which are really going to be a low tier team, and FTR. We kind of need some middles and jobbers. I think like 2 teams we need. We're also going to need some women, some female wrestlers, maybe 1 or 2 more. Because right now we have Mercedes Martinez, Willow, AQA, and Deanna Purrazzo. It's not bad, but it's a little bit light. I like to have multiple people in and out. So there's definitely some people that I think will work well with the product. And what is that? Well, we have the Code of Honor Respectful Wrestling product. This is a very difficult product to successfully book. And I'm going to show you why. So thankfully, face and heel divide is not enforced because a lot of the Code of Honor wrestlers are tweeners. They will be categorized as face as heel, but really, it's practically not there. We could honestly turn it off, but it just makes it a little bit more confusing, just for bookkeeping. So it's not enforced. Faces can go with faces. Heels can go against heels. There is no disposition change penalty set up because it's really based on who are they facing with each other. It's not going to be about, anything else like that. Small women's division, obviously, but it is there. The Women of Honor is growing, and that's definitely going to be a focus we're going to try to develop. The Respectful Wrestling is a slant on Japanese wrestling, treated very seriously with an emphasis on high-quality matches, and some angles are used to build rivalries. Fans will expect 95% matches, 5% angles. So the shows have to be very, on events, very focused on matches, very little angles. TV shows, a little bit more lenient, but again, very highly focused on match work. Matches are rated 66 to 35 on in-ring action versus popularity, so that's helpful for us because if we pick people in AEW to bring down that are very good in-ring workers, even for their young age or their popularity, we're going to get good scores out of them, even if their popularity isn't very high. So some people I'm thinking of is like a Daniel Garcia, who has a very high technical wrestling skill, who we're definitely going to bring down, spoilers, but popularity-wise, this isn't there. He's going to be perfect for our Ring of Honor because he's going to get a really good high score. We're going to build him up. We're going to make him popular. We're going to send him back to AEW to become a star. Fans are upset by dangerous, controversial, or bloody match types. They're here for classic wrestling. They're here for some King's Road shit, right? Maybe not King's Road, maybe more strong style, but I never really understood the difference between the two. Someone that's a Japanese aficionado for wrestling could maybe help me out. A lot of penalties based on basically gimmicky stuff. Angles need to be short. They don't want long angles. And we can only really use basic match setup. So we can't use light tubes or anything else like that. Also, a very important thing is fans expect important matches to be quite lengthy, and matches less than 20 minutes will not achieve world-class scores. This thing is the worst for written setting in the game. What the hell does that mean? If you can tell me the exact specifics, that would be great. Because what it essentially means is people that are considered important should be in long matches. Does that mean that both workers need to be important? Well, there is no important metric. There's stars, well-known, recognized, major stars. What's the line? Is a recognized person in another match with a recognized person important? Is a person that's a major star in versus a person that's considered a throwaway, that's unimportant? Is that now an important match because that person is? This thing's going to give us penalties out the wazoo. But essentially what it means is most matches need to be 20 minutes. But for the most part, our matches are going to be 20 minutes. And that gives us a little difficulty in booking because there's only so much time on a show. So that's going to be one that we're probably going to get a lot of penalties on. Also, fans are put off by cheap or tainted endings. And that's also a difficult thing to book around. Now, we are considered small. We are a tiny company. We are at 30 all across the board, except for tri-state region where we are from. Actually, their home office was 10 minutes away from where I lived when growing up, which was very cool. They had a little spot off the coast of Delaware River that was their actual headquarters when, like, early on, which I think was really neat. Also have some momentum in the Mid-Atlantic and the Great Lakes. They're small, though. We want to get them bigger. How we're going to get them bigger is our broadcast, because we lucked in to having AEW and Tony Khan vouch for us. And what they did is they said, hey, Warner Media, I got this thing. You want an on-demand show? Well, why don't you put my Ring of Honor on there? And they reluctantly did that. Now, HBO Max is an internet subscription service, so this is technically not correct, because I think HBO Max does do timed releases, but they don't do live shows. So, unfortunately, in the game, any internet subscription company defaults to on-demand. They don't let you do a timed release. Though, ideally, what I would do would be have HBO Max show Ring of Honor right before Rampage, and then have it like a 2-hour block. But we can't do that. But for the sake of the game, we're going to say basically it does that. We're showing an 1.5-hour show on Fridays, and it's on HBO Max. We have a minimum requirement of 30, which is not too bad. We're getting only 30% of our revenue, but that gets all sucked up to AEW anyways. The broadcast has exclusive rights across the United States, so we can pick up international rights if we wanted to, and they would just block it. HBO Max is not available in all countries, but is mostly Europe and South America, the Caribbean, and North America. But things can get geo-locked and stuff like that. So we have some wiggle room. Unfortunately, though, they're not interested in negotiating with us at all. They need us to be at 42 popularity in 4 different regions. Very difficult. So basically, that's one of the major goals of this game. Warner Media gave us a 1-year term. They said, listen, be on here for a year. Let's see what you can do. And if you can get popular enough, then maybe we'll renew your contract. If not, I don't know, right? HBO's, a pretty prestigious place to be. So it's going to be our fight, is can we make this developmental product successful, compelling, profitable for AEW? But most importantly, can we move up the ladder and get ourselves to 42? We got a couple that aren't far, but there's some areas that we're really going to have to work. So it's going to be a little bit difficult. We're going to have to see what we can do. A couple things in terms of bookkeeping we need to do before anything. We need to make sure that our production values are at least the minimum standard. So we need high quality production values. We need industry standard broadcast quality. It's going to be expensive, but we're not paying for it. There's always a potential that AEW drops us if we're too expensive. It's always something we're going to have to worry about. How licensed music is a minimum requirement. That's crazy. Not even like small time. Not even minor license, like full scale licensed. Well, okay. That's going to cost $50,000 a month. Whew. Sorry, Tony. We also probably should up our live experience to a medium crew. So that's going to be medium size, involving mixed professional team leaders and amateur helpers. Yeah, that seems right. I don't think large would make sense. It would be $20,000 per show. Large live team of mixing professionals. We're going to get like a couple hundred people tops at our shows early on. Not necessary. And I do want to see what our rivals are. Anything green we're above, anything red we're below, anything white we're at the same. So basically, NXT's got a better production value than we are, but I'm not going to spend that money to go majestic and large just to match them. We're going to get some penalties. It's not going to be a big deal. I think that's totally fine where we stand here. When it comes to events for our shows, I think what we should look at, where's pricing? Always forget every time. Is it finance? No. I think we need to change our ticket prices. I thought it was under event ticket price. It's under the option that says ticket prices as people scream at the video. I think cheap for an event, and I think free for a TV show. Anybody that wants to come on in. I think that's totally fine. We'll see where we need to be. What I want is as many people in the crowd to come in, have a good time. They're going to watch a great show. They're going to get in for free. HBO is going to be paying us, so that's where we're going to get our money. But we really just want as many eyes on the product as we can, and we do have an owner that's going to give us a little bit of a cushion, right? So that's going to be our goal there. All right. I think we're all set up. I do have some contracts that we need to be renegotiated. They're all in there. Some cleanup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into AEW. I'm going to grab just a few people. I think we're going to look at maybe getting up to 40 for our total pop here. I like to be double what our minimum active wrestlers need to be. So 40 would be a pretty good, probably 1 or 2 tag teams. Like I said, a couple single competitors that I want to bring down, and we'll bring them down on developmental contracts, and then we'll review that, and then we'll get going. All right, I'll catch you guys on the flip. All right, guys. We are back, and we got a few more people in. You see, we have 42. So let's go ahead and just look at who we added down to a developmental contract. Now, these guys can get pulled back up at any time. Everybody else on our roster are basically ours, right? But these are now developmental contracts, so they could be pulled up. I think we get 28 days notice or something like that. But we brought down a couple teams. Bear Country have pretty strong brawling stats, aren't really being utilized in AEW, and seemed like it would be a good opportunity to bring them in, and they could be a good mid-card tag team for us. In addition to Gun Club, who I think previously had some Ring of Honor experience, at least I want to say Colton may have, or Austin may have, been in a tournament in 2019. So bring in the whole group, the Brothers Ass, and then of course Billy, all here and available to also be sort of a mid-card heel team. We brought down Mike Seidel to partner with Matt Seidel, so we have that. Still a little light. I kind of want one more tag team, but we'll look at it later. For now, we're in a pretty good spot. In addition to that, we brought down just a few extra people. So Daniel Garcia, I think, is a good opportunity for us. I think there's a lot of upside here with his technical ability. His popularity is not great, so he doesn't have a perception rating here yet. But potentially could do very well for us in terms of be considered well known, maybe. We might even be able to make him a star on our show. And his technical skill is going to do us pretty well. His areas of weakness, obviously, being microphone work and charisma. Unfortunately, we don't really have anybody to put him with, but we'll look at it in the future. In addition, we added a few more female competitors. Oh, I brought down Colt Cabana, someone that does not need development, but somebody that's not really being utilized at AEW, has a long tenured experience in Ring of Honor, and felt like a good person to bring down to help out Ring of Honor, and hopefully, be a person that could believably put over younger wrestlers and be okay with that. He's a people person. He's got a good personality. Should be a good opportunity for us. Outside of the tag teams, we added 2 female wrestlers. Kind of debated adding a third, but for now, I brought down Layla Hirsch, who is not very popular, but has a really good technical rating. So I think a good opportunity here with us. Horrible charisma, microphone, all that stuff. Star quality's kind of low, but technical ability could get us a good match. Another person that seemed like had interesting potential is Maddie Renikowski. Somebody I feel like I've never seen on the show. Maybe she's on Dark. 2 years experience, which is a young lion, which means we can develop her pretty quickly. She has no popularity, but this is the place for her. But she's got already, potentially, we obviously have some scouting issues here, but potentially has really good brawling and a pretty solid technical. Sure, potentially somewhere between 26 to 71. We're hoping it's closer to 71. Probably not. But she also has a potentially high upside of charisma and microphone work and acting. So there's some potential here if we can kind of come up with who she is and what we want to do with her. She apparently has this gimmick of Miss Reality. I really know nothing about her, so I'm going to do some research to try to kind of figure out what her gimmick is. Certainly in the comments, feel free to do so as well. But yeah, that is the setup. This episode's already gone a little long, so this is going to be kind of a episode 0. What we're going to do is we're going to have a slightly shorter episode that's just going to be the booking, which will be released like a day later than this episode. So keep a lookout for that. For now, your homework, as viewers, besides subscribing, liking the video, which always helps, is anybody out there that you would want to see hired to Ring of Honor that you think would be a good addition? Either people that were in Ring of Honor before that you think I should bring back in, or people that you think would be have good potential that are younger, maybe haven't had a good shot yet, that we want to bring into the fold, maybe bring it up to 45 wrestlers. Let me know in the comments. In addition, we're going to do a tournament. Our first show, we're going to bring the Top Prospects tournament in. Traditionally, this was like, depending on what year it was usually like you win a contract and a title shot. We're going to do a story where the winner gets a shot at the Ring of Honor title of their choice. So it could be the Pure, it could be the Television, it could be the World. It depends on which one they want. We're going to do an 8-man tag team. So we're mostly going to add people, obviously, that are in the roster. We might add a few other people, but that is what we're going to be booking. So, that should be a pretty interesting beginner tournament to kind of start some storylines with. So that is it. That is the setup of this Resurrection save. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're excited for it. And let me know who else you want to see potentially join Ring of Honor that's not thrown our way by AEW. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy, and I'll see you next time.